So today I'm soldering a zinc hood. The alloy of solder I'm using is 85% tin, 15% zinc, so it's got a pretty decent color match. I'm using, I think it's either 150 or 300 watt Black Beauty solder gun. I think it gets up to about 1,000 degrees, 1,100 degrees, something like that. You can see the noxious, nasty smoke coming out. Not a problem though, just keep your head out of it. It's really not that bad. And I just kind of work my way around. I'm actually on this, I'm actually feeding it in there. It's nowhere near as exciting as TIG welding Inconel or something, but it gets the job done, especially on this zinc, which people really like. You can also TIG weld it on AC running about, around 15 amps or so. It's a little tricky though. You can put off some stuff, you can really screw it up if you don't, but I got basically a lap seam behind here, which is what I'm doing. Slowly, like I said, running along, keeping my heat in there. And as I go, I'll end up stopping, like when I get to a stopping point, I'll stop and then I'll go to the front side of this. So through capillary action, then see how it's nice and tinned right there too? Now I can come back to the front of it and this will start to suck back down inside that joint. As you can see on this side over here, it just starts to go back down. And it starts to bubble out a little, but that's okay. That just means it's actually going down there in the joint. I prefer to use a gas soldering iron, but this works actually pretty well. I'm terrified to screw up because I have just enough material to finish this hood, so I'm taking all my precautions. However, I did tack solder everything together with just an open flame butane torch, and that's the way I do it. I don't recommend that because zinc is hot short, meaning that it doesn't actually turn red unless you get it way past molten. And what it does is it acts kind of like aluminum, where it doesn't glow red when it's red hot, which obviously it is hot enough to melt. And it's scary because it barely goes shiny right before it drops off, and next thing you know, you've got a pool of molten zinc, which, you know, in this respect it would be terrible because I don't have enough material to replace it, especially on one of the larger panels. But this is how I do it. I'm by no means a professional solderer, but this is the very first thing I learned back in high school, and I joined metals, not just weld metals, so brazing and everything. I think everybody should definitely learn how to do this. I also have coppers that I put in my forge, which will do the same thing, but I'm doing this kind of indoors, not in my shop, because my shop's being built as we speak. So I'm trying to here's just a little example of how to solder zinc. And you can also solder pretty much anything like this. Galvanized steel solders readily, copper solders readily. All those metals can also be welded too, but zinc is just one of those things where it's got such a low melting temperature. I believe it's around 700 degrees, and then when it boils off, it puts out some really noxious gases. It's totally safe except when it's like molten and it'll start to boil off. So anyway, here you go. Thanks for watching.